Well, hello there. My name is Cornelius Carl. I do declare, fall has arrived. That means it's time to play one of my most beloved games. It's a tradition that has been passed down for many generations in the Cobb family. We call it the Candy Corn Shuffle. The rules are quite simple. You'll see a single, delicious candy corn on the screen. It will then be hidden behind one of several pumpkins. Those pumpkins will get shuffled around. But you've got to keep your eye on the pumpkin with the candy corn. Now just let me get my spectacles and we'll get this game started. My, I do so enjoy this game. If you know where the candy corn is, just shout it out. 1, 2, or 3. Well done, but that round was easy as pie. Let's try another, slightly more challenging version. All right. You best have been paying attention. If you know where the candy corn is now, just shout it out. 1, 2, or 3. Very impressive. But do you think you can keep up if we add a 4th pumpkin? I almost got confused on that one myself. Shout out 1, 2, 3, or 4 if you know where the candy corn is at. Excellent attention to detail. Now, things are gonna get really interesting. Sweet marmalade, that was fast. If you kept your eye on the candy corn, then shout it out. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Well, I am impressed. That was some mighty fine work. But we've still got 2 more rounds to go. My, that will boggle the mind. Were you able to keep an eye on the candy corn? If so, shout it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Sweet apple pie, you're right. Now, you'll need to bring forth all your powers of concentration and focus for this final challenge. That was faster than a hot knife through butter on the 4th of July. Do you have any idea where the candy corn is at? If so, shout it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I do declare you have done it. That was quite the sight to behold. Thank you all very much for taking time to play this game today. I have thoroughly enjoyed our time together.
Hey Ringo kids, welcome back to Custom Creations Candy Kitchen here at Ringo Kids. And I'm so glad you're all here with us today, and I want to know how your weekend has been so far. Why don't you all think of one word to describe it, okay? Then I want all you to tell me your one word on the count of 3, all right? I want to hear all of your responses, okay? Are you ready? You got your word? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Wow, thanks for sharing that. It seems like no one's weekend has been exactly the same. We all experience things differently, kind of like these candies here. I love peanut M&Ms. This one's got it's a double peanut. But I love eating different types of candy. And these candies are one of my all-time favorites. I can't stop eating them. You can't just eat one, can you? You see, like these candies, we experience different things because we're all made up differently, which makes sense because each of us have our own individuality. You see, that's how God designed us. What is individuality? Well, individuality is discovering who you're meant to be so you can make a difference. You see, God made you like anyone else, and there's only one of you. So as you grow, you're going to continue to find new ways that God can use you and your individuality as you work to make a difference for other people. When I look out at all of you, I see a bunch of difference makers. I believe it. You see, God created each of you with your own individuality, and He can use you the way He made you to make a difference in this world. You see, we don't have to live just for ourselves. Let's live differently, okay? In today's story, it's about a young man named Timothy, who was from a little town called Lystra. His mother and grandmother were Jewish, and they both believed in the one true God. But Timothy's father was Greek, and he most likely did not believe in God. But God had some great plans for this young man. He would meet a man from our story last week, and his name is the Apostle Paul. Why don't we hang out together and watch the story and see how Timothy makes a difference in the people around him. While we're doing that, I'm gonna eat some more M&Ms. That's what I do, right? Orange. Orange is one of my favorites.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. And you have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. And you have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Your fault, still your love fought for me. And you have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. And you have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Hey people, I'm Graham, and we're talking about individuality. Individuality is discovering who you're meant to be so you can make a difference. I know, I haven't had lunch yet and I'm already eating candy. I can make decisions like this. You can too, when you're older. Don't you just hate it when someone tells you to wait until you're older? I mean, it's not like you're a baby. You're not age 0. Of course not. And you know what? You use your head. You're no dud. Why should you have to wait until later for what you want now? There's got to be a better way. Well, in today's story, we'll learn about a young man named Timothy and his mentor, Paul. Why shouldn't Timothy be able to make a difference even though he's young? Well, it turns out there's just no reason. I don't think that's spelled the same. See you when you get back.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 12.
Timothy of Lystra must have felt like he lived in two worlds. His mother, Eunice, and his grandmother, Lois, both were Jewish and believed in the one true God.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
But Timothy's father was Greek and likely not a believer.
Just work hard and be a good man, son. That's what really matters.
Okay, Dad.
One day, two men arrived in Lystra. Timothy may have heard them speaking in the center of town.
Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. You can turn to Him now.
One of the two men even healed a man who had never been able to walk. The crowd was amazed.
The gods have come down to us in human form.
Uproar engulfed the city. People even tried to offer sacrifices to the two men, Paul and Barnabas, as if they were gods. But in the middle of the chaos, a group of Jews from nearby towns where Paul and Barnabas had preached showed up and convinced everyone to attack the man with stone instead. Though the Jews dragged Paul outside the city and left him for dead, Paul got right back up. Timothy really surely heard about it.
The power of this Jesus is real.
Paul left for Derbe the next day and returned again to Lystra. Timothy, his mother, and grandmother all listened to Paul's teaching, and all three became believers in Jesus. Paul continued on his journey, but left behind a small, thriving new church.
We must pray each day.
And teach each other.
Timothy, in the meeting tomorrow, you should tell the story Paul shared The one about how Jesus raised a dead man.
Oh, but I don't really like to talk in front of people.
I think you shall do very well.
By the time Paul had returned several years later, Timothy had become a faithful disciple of Jesus. Everyone at the church spoke well of him.
Timothy knows all the Hebrew scriptures.
He is kind to everyone, not just those who are Jewish.
And his father is a Greek man?
Oh, yes.
Paul was looking for someone to help encourage new churches. Someone who knew God's words. Someone who could speak to people from all different backgrounds.
Timothy, I'd like you to travel with me and Silas and Luke.
Me?
Of course you.
Oh, but there are others older than me with more experience. They're bold. They're better at speaking.
You're the one God has chosen for this job.
Wow. Well, okay.
The elders of the church laid their hands on Timothy and prayed for him. God's Spirit provided Timothy with everything he would need for the work ahead.
Amen.
We leave tomorrow.
Over the next years, Timothy traveled with Paul all around the land to help encourage believers and start new churches. While they spent time in Ephesus, Paul gave Timothy a special mission.
I want you to go to the church in Corinth.
On my own?
You're like a son to me. I trust you completely. The church there needs to see an example of what it means to follow Christ. And, well, you're it.
Timothy went to Corinth. Over the years, Timothy became Paul's right-hand man. Paul even put him in charge of the church in Ephesus.
The leaders in Ephesus are so much older than I am. Will they even listen to me?
Your age doesn't matter.
As Timothy settled in Ephesus, Paul wrote him letters to encourage him.
Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Set an example for the believers in what you say and how you live. Also, set an example in how you love and in what you believe. Show the believers how to be pure.
Though Timothy met Paul when he was a very young man, he was able to play an important part in helping Paul build up the early church and sharing their incredible news of Jesus.
When Timothy was still a young man, the Apostle Paul wrote him a letter. In the letter, Paul wrote, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for the believers in what you say and in how you live." You know what that means? You don't have to wait until you're older to make a difference. You can be an example for other people right now by how you live your life. When a friend is feeling down, you can help them find joy. You can make peace when you see two people fighting, and you can tell them to stop. By spreading God's love to the people around you, you can actually point others to Jesus. He's a real lifesaver. So here's the one thing to remember today. You can make a difference right now. Whether you're a junior or as old as 100, you can choose to be an example and make a difference, no matter what. Now, to eat all this candy. Not really. I'm no dud either. I'll see you next time.
Hey, even though Timothy was a very young man when he first met Paul, he was able to play an important part in helping people build up the early church and share the good news that's all about Jesus. Don't you love how Timothy lived out what he believed? He didn't wait until he was older to live for God. He opened up his heart to God right away, and God did great things through him. God can work through you too, no matter what your age. In fact, you can make a difference right now, and that's our bottom line. You don't have to wait until you're older to make a difference. You can be an example to other people right now with the way you live your life. That's so exciting. You can share God's love with people around you and help point others to Jesus. You can do that at home with your family, at school, or at church. Even at the grocery store, the playground. There are always opportunities to spread God's love to the people around you. You can do that in your own unique way, and that makes a huge difference. You can choose to step up, put others first, and make things better for the people around you. It's kind of like what Paul wrote to Timothy in his letter, and he was trying to encourage Timothy that even though he was young, he could still have an influence in the people around him. And he says this, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for the believers in what you say and in how you live. Also, set an example in how you love and in what you believe. Show the believers how to be pure." You see, Paul wrote those words to Timothy, but his words are also true for you right here today. You might be young, but you can set an example for others in what you say and how you live. So don't forget, when you choose to show God's love to people around you, you can actually point other people to Jesus. You can help them see how much He loves them. Because you're different and because you like so many different things, God can use you in different ways than He can use other people. That's using your individuality to make a difference in the lives around you. Next week, we're going to continue our series as we continue looking at individuality. I'm so excited. Then after that, we got another great series coming up that I'm really excited about. We're going to tell you about that next week. So hang out with us next week. Come back. And we're going to see how God can continue to use you and what we're looking forward to for the month of November. Hey guys, I will see you next week as we continue our series. All right guys, bye, bye. Hey, see you everybody, bye.
What's your favorite kind of cookie to make? I'm a big fan of gingerbread. I love turning out the exact same shape over and over and over and over. You don't even have to be an artist to make gingerbread cookies come out just right. But the best works of art don't come from a mold. They're unique, original, one of a kind. And the greatest work of all time is you. God made you to reflect a little bit of who He is to the world around you. But He made you to reflect Him in a way that's entirely different from your brother, your mom, your neighbor, or even that popular kid at school. God made only one you, and He made you on purpose. No one else in the entire world can fill that perfect spot He crafted, just for you. And when you discover who God made you to be, you can make a greater difference in this world than you could ever imagine. That's why individuality is an amazing way to worship God with your life. Because worship is about more than just singing loud. It's all about living loud.